Hello and thank you for joining me. I'm AJ Murga, and today I'm going to be talking about The Housemaid. Housemaid is on Starz right now. And it's an interesting watch. Again, it had a really good premise, and it was probably a really good book. So the movie is starring, of course, Sydney Sweeney.
I love jeans.
Amanda Seyfried.
I've been feeding the crows for a year.
And it's directed by Paul Feig. I'm just going to start criticizing this movie right away. I love Paul Feig. Paul Feig is such a great director, and he's a really interesting guy. I like him in interviews even. Bridesmaids, one of the funniest movies ever made. Simple Favor 1 and 2, I even liked those a lot. This movie felt like there was too many cooks in the kitchen. It had a lot going on. It was trying to be sexy and thrilling and also kind of a rom-com and sweet and also a game of cat and mouse. It had even more than that going on. Oh yeah, there was like this secret backstory of Sydney Sweeney's that didn't make much sense to me.
Yeah, I was like 12, 13, and I started kickboxing and grappling, and I trained at Gokor Hayastan with Sensei Jean LaBelle and Bangladesh and Gokor.
And we're going to come back to that. I've got another note on that at the end. There were so many cooks in the kitchen that it just felt like they were trying to please everybody, and they ended up pleasing nobody. This movie's not terrible. It's definitely entertaining, and there are parts that are actually quite good. There are parts that I genuinely enjoyed. Overall, it was a strange watch. So if you don't know the plot, I mean, it's basically Sydney Sweeney is hired as a housemaid, but there's more to her backstory. She's hiding a secret, and Amanda Seyfried is a very wealthy woman who's married to a powerful husband, but Amanda Seyfried is also hiding something as well. So there is a good premise there. There's an interesting amount of tension that's happening early on where we're learning what are they hiding, why, what's exactly going on. But once it kind of gets there, there's a twist in like the middle of the movie. I think it might even be the midpoint or a little bit later. There's a twist that kind of reveals exactly what's going on, and I'm just gonna say it's kind of ridiculous. To think that Amanda Seyfried's character would do this to another person knowingly, wow. Yeah, I mean, again, that's an interesting place to go for a book, because in a book you can really get into the minutia of what the character's thinking. You have all the time in the world to explain who they are or to show who they are, of course. In a movie like this, where it's like trying to mostly just be sexy and entertaining, to go there was kind of like, it felt like multiple different movies playing all in front of my face at once. And then it gets even crazier by the end, because it gets flipped a little bit, and the twist ending at the very end is so ridiculous. I don't even really want to blow it or talk about it. But if you've seen the movie, I definitely want to have a conversation with you about how ridiculous the very end twist was. So unfortunately, this movie had some pretty big cons. Besides the directing and the ridiculous twists, the character inconsistencies, there was tone inconsistencies. Because this movie was trying to be so many different things, the tone would shift from scene to scene sometimes. And that's what I meant by sometimes it felt like a romantic comedy. Other times it felt like a sexy thriller. Other times it felt like just like a character drama. And other times it felt like a suspense action horror almost. Yeah, like there was a twist towards the end where it made it feel like a horror film. And I just think you have to be really careful when you change genres or tones that many times in one property. It did not work for me. Can it be done? Of course. Look at Pulp Fiction.
Well, bring out the gimp.
But the whole movie, there's no question that it keeps a consistent tone, and it has one clear voice, which is Quentin Tarantino. And in this movie, you can't say that. There's no backbone. There's no grounding point to be able to say, oh, this is a story told from this perspective, and I understand whose point of view I'm in, and I understand what's going on, instead of just being kind of passed around like a joint at a party. I don't want to crap on it too much, even though that might be fun and good for views. There is one really good thing about this movie. Amanda Seyfried, she's a great actress. And I mean, there's no surprise. I mean, she's an Oscar-nominated actress now, like no surprise, she's great. But even in a movie like this, that has so many flaws, she can rise to the top and quite frankly elevate her scenes to a level that makes the movie decent. Overall, is this movie worth your time? No. Probably not, unless you're just a pervert like me and wanted to give it a try. But there are things that are really good about this movie, and it's mostly Amanda Seyfried's acting. And it elevates the rest of the movie to be not only watchable, but enjoyable at times. There were parts of this movie that I genuinely enjoyed. And Amanda Seyfried's acting is just top-notch. I really think of her era, of her age group, she's one of the best actresses today. I just think she is. But that leads me to a question. What do we think about Sydney Sweeney? Is she a good actress? I'm not sure how to answer that question yet. I like Sydney Sweeney, I do. She's captivating, I mean, obviously. I think she has a comfort zone, and if she stays in that comfort zone, she can actually look like a good actress. And I've seen her challenge herself a couple of times, like Christie looks good. I haven't watched Christie yet, but I'm thinking about watching it and doing a review for that. There are times when she looks like a solid dramatic actress, but there are other times when she's maybe being pushed into a direction that maybe she doesn't even understand what the producers are wanting. Like I said, this movie is trying to do so many things at once. Sydney Sweeney might have just been confused on what movie she was in, and she at times looked lost, which fit her character because her character is pretty confused, or at least for the first third or so of the movie. But she's not helping here in this movie. I mean, she's the main attraction physically, but I didn't really think she brought too much to the table on this one. I do think she has a really good comfort zone though, and that's humor. Anytime I've seen her in a rom-com, and especially Euphoria, I love her in Euphoria. She's great in the first season of White Lotus. She's really funny. I'm watching Euphoria right now, and the episode where it's the end of her wedding night, and I don't want to spoil what happens, but it's crazy. And her response is hilarious. I laughed out loud. Even though the scene is super tense and it's quite frankly disturbing, she brought so much humor that it really elevated the scene and made it interesting. But that's Euphoria. Euphoria is one of the most unique and risky shows out there, and I love Euphoria. It's a great show. This took a lot of the wrong risks, and I think it damaged Sydney Sweeney in the process, because this should have been a very good vehicle for her. If this would have been better, if this would have been more singularly focused, I think it could have been a good step in the right direction for her career. Just keep doing Euphoria and stuff like that. That stuff's great. So anyway, I think she's very capable of being a good actress, and I think at times she is, but I think her comfort zone is definitely comedy. But I'm really curious to see what you guys think of that. What did you think of this movie? What did you think of the ridiculous twist? I think this movie could have been good, but there's a lot of couldas, shouldas, and wouldas in there. I think the book, though, would probably be worth reading. The premise is really interesting. I would be interested in reading the book, and I'm curious if any of you have read the book. Tell me about it. What is good, and is it worth reading? Thanks for joining me on this one. It was a little weird, not really worth your time, The Housemaid, but I thought I'd give it a try and tell you about it anyway. Like and comment and subscribe, and I'll see you next time. I forgot about something. I want to know down in the comments below, who's the hottest celebrity to you that you would be willing to get locked in an attic and have to pull out your hair one strand at a time? And if you've seen this movie, you know exactly what I'm talking about. And if you don't, you're probably pretty confused. But I want to know, what celebrity would it take in order for you to stay locked in an attic and actually pull out all your hair? Because this movie went there. I'll see you next time.
I'm dying to see it.